I want to talk about an area where a lot of us get stuck when we're in the build phase, and that is identifying, picking out, and obsessing over the choices of which tech components to use to build your custom software SaaS. So, if this is an area where you've struggled before, this content is definitely for you. Where this comes from is when I was building my first SaaS application, I was doing exactly this. I was going round and round, I picking out the perfect tech stack, right? Which sounds ridiculous because in reality it doesn't exist, right? There's what works, there's what's familiar, there's a bunch of other better ways to do that, and that's what I want to talk about. So this is an area where you've spun your wheels before or are currently, then listen up. First and foremost, the best advice that I can give you, and the thing that will help you move the fastest in terms of progress, is to just build with what you already know and what you're comfortable with. Obsessing over like different back-end technologies, front-end technologies, whatever, it largely is all the same type of thing. And in the end, it's not really going to matter all that much. So just go with what's comfortable for you or where you already have some experience. Now, in addition to that, and this is the counterintuitive point, no one really cares what you're using in your tech stack. Now, I know people are probably going to question that one the most, but in reality, from having built and sold multiple SaaS products and companies, the customers pretty much never ask me. And even if they do, it's not a real objection. So they may get I may get questions about it, but as I start going into those details, I can see their eyes glossing over. So don't worry about it. For the most part, the only people that care about that stuff is us. So don't feel like you need to obsess over this because your customer's not. Also, when it comes to choosing a tech stack, if you are still stuck somewhere and you can't really figure out which way you want to go, and this is a decision, you're continually hitting these roadblocks, right? Use AI to figure it out. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. So I've talked a lot about interacting with Claude or ChatGPT or whatever from a strategy and a planning perspective. People are underutilizing those tools for these purposes. I've used it very recently for the current SaaS product I'm building, which is in financial due diligence. And as I mentioned that, you may be thinking financial services, crunching a lot of numbers, an area where we need to get that stuff right and not all, the tech stacks, especially on the back end, are the most capable when it comes to that. So long story short, I'm also high preference for open source stuff. So Python was the obvious choice for me. I didn't necessarily land on that myself, though. That's where I was thinking I would go. But I had a conversation with AI a couple of times over. I workshop with them what it was I was planning on building, and lo and behold, Python ended up being the obvious choice. So I went with it, right? So if you're stuck and you need help figuring out or picking out that stack, use AI like Claude or ChatGPT to help you figure that out. Okay, so how do you apply what I've described here? First and foremost, if you're a 0 to 1 SaaS founder or builder, which is who this content is primarily for, just go with what you're already familiar with. If you have used any of the tech tools before, choose those and go. You can always replace along the way in an area where some of those are not necessarily working out, and that's what I've done myself as well too. Pick and choose something off the shelf, use it. If it's working, great. If it's not, replace it, right? That is a way to get you moving sooner rather than later. Beyond that, keep in mind, or I should also say, I was going to share the fact that a lot of these AI tech providers, like Anthropic's Claude and ChatGPT's Codex, they have increased the capacity and the number of token usage you can get technically through the end of the year, although this content's coming at you kind of late, so sorry about that. But for the end, till the end of the day at least, you can. I think the usage numbers have been increased by double. So if you want to do some building today, use up that capacity as much as you can and look at building some of your more complex features and tasks and things like that since you're going to get additional capacity. So burn through that credit while you have it. Okay, and just to summarize what we talked about here, of the key points, right? Number one, just go with what you're familiar with when it comes to choosing tech components in your stack. Number two, for the most part, especially your customer doesn't really care what these components are. I'll talk more about context about what they really care about in the future content. And number three, if you're still stuck somewhere, use AI to figure it out, right? Tell them what you're building and ask them what they would choose, and then go back and forth. Move forward with some of those choices and then replace them as necessary. So hope you found this content valuable. Thanks for engaging. Let me know what feedback you have and provide some feedback via comments as well too if it's available on your platform.